This video is made for adult collectors. It's because alternators are based on scale models of cars, and I think I've never ever seen a child buy a scale model car. Unless you have, in which case, good for you. Tonight, I crash a Ford GT. My dad holds a Ford GT. And my dog sniffs a Ford GT. Alternators are toys I don't see talked about often, but they're so full of life. Like, these things are great, mostly. I have a couple of things from like the Alternators Alternity Vinyl Tech style line, but the one I think has been the best of an experience for me is Mirage, not Jazz, Mirage. Alternators was a line of toys that were hyper-realistic licensed alt modes that fit into scale model collections, but also transformed and had full interiors and working car gimmicks, kind of like Human Alliance, but slightly more jank. Oh, quickly, almost forgot. Before I go any further, I do have a Patreon. It is linked in the description down below. There are exclusive videos once a week. I've already shot the one that's for this week, so that'll be coming out soon for patrons. So keep an eye out. This Ford GT looks so damn nice. Ah! I fell out of my chair. This is the GT I believe that was known for breaking down a lot, but it looks hella sick. The shaping all around this thing, the hood. My chair made the most egregious noise. There it goes again. The hood, the swooping angles of the front end, the back end looks awesome. I love the white stripes on this thing. The white paint is so thickly applied, yet really clean, and the variety of stripes on the top and the side is very nice. However, the front of mine is a little bit scuffy, and that was before I crashed it into a banister. The actual car bits, now I'm no lazy eyebrow, but I'll do my best with the car details. The headlights are beautiful, the wipers are nice, the chrome rims are nice, the treaded tires are awesome, they haven't cracked yet, and he has brake discs in there. There are brake discs. His doors, hood, and trunk open, albeit the back is really loose and just falls. Pain. But he has a very detailed interior, and there's an engine in there, but it's really small because it's the gun. Yes, the doors of the actual Ford GT open like this, and no, I, Mr. 6'3", don't fit in a Ford GT very well. I've tried. Oh, and the front wheels fucking turn and turn together. It does a really interesting thing in transformation to get this to work, and it's very neat. I'll show you when we get to that. So what do you think of the Ford GT?
I think it looks quite bang on. Very realistic. Because I have to say, for Transformers, it's probably the most realistic looking car I've seen ever. The fact that almost everything works, you can see the engine and all that, I think it's a fantastic looking car.
Ruby, Ford GT? But that's all the car does, really, but it looks incredible, and that's how I display my Vinyl Tech Alternators stuff, is in vehicle mode, because that's what it's made for. It looks so crisp. Its transformation, though, is very involved, so let's have a look at that. Okay, alternators, transformations can be a pain sometimes, especially, like, I know this isn't technically alternator, but, like, yeah, there are some that are a pain. Also, quickly, before I get in any further, Hasbro Pulse warehouse sale, I may have bought some things. So getting Mirage into his robot mode is quite involved, very interesting, and kind of annoying all at the same time. It really has to do with this back part here because it's really loose, especially on my copy. I'm not sure if it's like this on everybody else's, but it's so loose, and then the hood, the way that the hood tabs in is such a interesting way of doing things. I don't quite understand what they were trying to go for with the way it tabs in, because it actually doesn't tab in. But, yeah, whatever. What's really cool about the wheels, though, when you bring the arms out and down, this little clip right there, you see it? I'm going to move the tire, you see it moving? That's what clips into the wheel to make it move, and then when you split it, it detaches from the turning mechanism, so the turning mechanism doesn't hinder the robot mode at all. I think that's an excellent solution to that problem, and I love that. Now, the doors you can pretty much put wherever you want. I like to swing them down a little bit, but you can do the IDW Bumblebee thing of having them stick straight out of the shoulders if you want. It doesn't look that bad. I just prefer them down like this. And then so the legs are neat. Start with, you gotta like push the friggin', you gotta open this first. And this is a step I always forget to do on Mirage. My camera has a hard time focusing on Mirage. It's weird. You gotta push these sections out. I always forget to do that. And then that has to be one of the last steps you do going back into car mode. Otherwise, the car bits just won't line up properly and won't go into place. It does get a little frustrating, those parts, but whatever. Splitting the legs, you bring these out and around. Now, one thing I never quite understood with alternators, Binaltech, and Alternity and all those things was why they always had to put such... Will you stop dragging on the table? It won't stop doing that. Such large parts on the knee pads. Because, like, here's what the knee pads look like. The legs are the wrong way. Let me just rotate this around real quick. Steering wheel. There's the knee pads, and they stick out a lot. They stick out a lot from the actual toy. So it's a bit weird. Now, here comes the horrible part of the transformation, is getting the hood lined up. Because you bring this up and around and down, you fold this out, and then you see these little bits right here sticking out. They're supposed to sort of slot into here, but they never work. Like, it never matches up properly. If I do one side, the other side won't. So what I do is, oh god, I use those two sections there to hold this in place in the middle, and then I fold the hood over it. And that's how I've gotten it to work, and it stays. It stays okay. Now, doing the back end, you want to just sort of tuck this all up and into here somehow without breaking it. There we go. And then there goes the hood. So I got to redo the hood. But it's not a terrible transformation. And it leads to something that looks really cool. Robot mode looks weird but cool. You can definitely tell we're still learning on stuff like this because he has a lot of bits of car just hanging out. The doors are weird. The back of the car does not peg in like you saw earlier. And the knee pads also, they stick out a lot. It's not terrible. I still like the way it looks. I dig the placement of the doors and the arms and how you can position them. I just wish you could fold them up and back a bit so that they could fold out of the way if you didn't want them to be there. Like I said before, the chest doesn't peg in properly and it's very annoying, and you'll see when we get to the articulation segment, it does not want to cooperate with me, and I really don't like it. It flops way too much. The back end also flops, but the one thing I don't like about it other than the floppiness is the shaping. It makes the toy feel very wide, even though it's not actually that wide, because of the silhouette of the backpack. I will say the white and the light blue are also a weird choice. They don't look terrible, but I would have liked them to be a bit more muted of a color to go with the dark blue and the dull metallic, but hands are weird, and the way the guns peg in is also meh. They don't tab in super securely. It's a peg in palm slot, but it goes into the base of the hand, not the side of the hand. And because it goes into the base of the hand, it wiggles a little bit. It doesn't fall out, but it is a bit wiggly every now and again. I don't really like it. Plus the guns are tiny as shit. So his articulation is actually loaded for something that came out in the era that this did, because back then you would get, like even after that, you got stuff like this. Wasn't exactly the most posable thing in the world. What else do I have on the desk that's old? Him. But like, this dude is packed with stuff. You got a really expressive ball joint at the head so we can look up and down and tilt a little bit, left and right, all that stuff. Shoulders can do a full 360. They can go out at this joint here, and then there's a little bit of play at the other joint. If you move the chest armor up, it goes up even more. But it's really only right there that you get shoulder articulation. It is weirdly ratcheted. Like you only get 3 clicks. 1, 2, or 2, sorry. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You can sort of put it in the middle, but yeah, it's weird. You do have a bicep swivel. It does rotate, and then you have this section here within the arm that can go forward and back as well. Bicep rotation, double jointed elbows due to the transformation. The wrists are on ball joints, so you can spin them and move them in and out, which is really cool. And then he's got the 3-finger trigger finger sort of masterpiece style split hands. They do look like weird grippers when you have them open, like long fingers, but I just keep them closed. He does have a waist joint, but because of how the, you know, do the Jesus pose for a minute. Because of how he is built here and how loose all this stuff is, you got to move it to activate the waist joint, and then that just knocks everything out of whack, and it's not very fun. So I don't use the waist joint very often, but it is there if you want to use it. Stay in place, you idiot. This front hip skirt section does move up to accommodate legs going forward, about that far. They can go back, but you have to move the backpack out of the way, and then that makes the backpack start to flop around a lot. God, oh my God, there it goes again. It's so close to perfect if they just figured that out. You can go in and out, thigh rotation, single jointed knee that bends at 90 degrees, very high up, by the way, just due to how the leg transforms. So it doesn't look like it's accomplishing much of a knee bend, but it is. Oh my God. Stop it. You see what I mean when I said that the torso is so annoying to handle? And then the feet can go down. If you shift them a little bit over, they can go up a bit. And he does have ankle pivot. More that way than it is the way you want it to go, but he does have ankle pivot and the heels move, which I did use in this video for a pose to get him to look like his toe was pointing. So yeah, he's quite poseable. And then you put the guns. The guns are really small and kind of piddly, so I don't display him with these at all. They just sort of sit off to the side. But it's a really fun figure to pose around because of that. And then the doors. The doors can go up, they can go out, they can go down. This is where I like to keep them. You can flare them out like this as well if you want to. I have seen people do the IDW Bumblebee thing, like I said. You can angle the chest sections down a bit, keep the arms straight like that, and have them stick out if you want that look too. So that's pretty cool. I like the way that looks. But there's a lot of variety here to allow you to make this look however you want, along with the actually killer posing for the time. I think it's a really fun thing. It's a great figure. Angry Bionicle.
Oh, and I forgot, he ain't small. He's very big. Buy this. They can be expensive on the aftermarket, but also you could find some very good deals on this. Like I think BBTS, they sold out now, but they had the hot rod version of this on sale. And I got this for $40 at a convention with its instructions and everything complete, and it's in very good condition. And that's a pretty good price for this thing. And I see alternators at local shops and stuff go for about 30 to 50 bucks on average, which for the size and how good they are, that's pretty good. And these aren't hard to find either, honestly. This was mainline for a while. So like, they're not that difficult to come across if you want one, and they're a lot of fun. Sure, the robot modes look a little bit janky, but it's that good kind of jank, that like early 2000s style of jank that makes it work on these specifically, and I like that. And I think they own it, they wear it very well, and they're definitely worth picking up. But that's my look at Alternators Mirage. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.